All right, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Greg Rucka, he went on to say that Wonder Woman, he thought she was bisexual, he thought she was queer or gay. He's a writer for the Reborn Wonder Woman. And this is what I think about Wonder Woman, okay? I do not agree with Greg Rucka, and I'm going to give my reasons. Now, for some of you, this might seem controversial. For some of you, again, it makes sense. So I'm going to explain to you why I think Diana is not bisexual, okay? From the comics that I've read. Now, I'm not extensive in the comics of Wonder Woman. I'm not. But I've read a decent amount of them. And from my take on Wonder Woman, there is a number of different things. First of all, let me make it abundantly clear. Wonder Woman is not Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman doesn't think of herself as Wonder Woman. She doesn't say, I am Wonder Woman. She doesn't say that kind of nonsense, okay? That's for the cartoons. The Wonder Woman, and she's called a Wonder because of that, the Wonder Woman is actually Diana of Themyscira, okay? Diana is her real name. And Diana is a princess. She is the heir to the throne of Themyscira. They call it Paradise Island, yeah, but she's really the heir to Themyscira. And it's called a paradise because there is no war there. There's peace in Themyscira for these women. Now, if you are stranded on an island with animals, okay, and you spend the rest of your life like Robinson Crusoe on an island with animals, are you going to have sex with them? Of course not. Just because you have an island of Amazons or women doesn't mean that they're going to want to just turn on each other and have sex with one another. See? And I think that's a misunderstanding on their part. In fact, think about this now. The original Wonder Woman, Diana, was made from clay. They avoided talking about sex. Now, whether that was a lie or not, that Zeus actually had sex with the queen of the Amazons is another story. But the point is, that was the story given to Diana. Now, the other thing about Diana is we know she's a princess, but the other thing we need to understand about Diana is she interacts with the gods. And some of the gods are male. Okay? That's big. That's big. Now, she has never interacted with men until Steve Trevor showed up on her island, but she's interacted with the gods. In fact, she interacted with the god of war, and she learned how to fight, and so on, even further. Now, she has people who were with her. She had friends on the island. I'm not saying that she didn't have relationships, and when I say relationships, I'm not talking about sex now. I'm talking about, good bonds, friendship, etc., with people of her own gender or her own sex. I call homosexual relationships, but not involving sex, just meaning the same sex people, having good relationships with them. When you go to an all-boys school, for those of you who've gone to an all-boys school, just because you see boys all around you doesn't mean you're going to have sex with them, right? A person doesn't become gay just like that. They either are born that way or someone has to persuade them to go down that pathway. From what I've seen of Diana, even though she's been amongst Amazons all her life, that's what she basically knows, she has this degree of innocence, at least in the initial origin story, that tells me that she hasn't really explored in that kind of way, sexual kind of way, other women. That's my opinion. I don't know. Has she kissed other women? Of course she has. I kissed my dad on the lips when I was a kid. So what? That doesn't mean it's sexual. You know what I mean? In fact, in Eastern culture, men kissed each other on the lips or kissed each other on the face as a sign. Judas kissed Jesus on the cheek or on the mouth or something. I don't know whether he kissed him. That's a cultural thing. So you can't necessarily say that there's sexual implications to that. Now, on top of that, people say, well, it was a paradise island. Yes, but paradise doesn't mean you have sex all the time. You see, that's the kind of deluded thinking that sometimes bothers me about people. They think everything's about sex. A paradise island just means there's peace there, people live in harmony, and it's more or less cool. Okay? That's paradise. I live in Trinidad, it's a paradise. And there's no wars here or anything. It's great weather and stuff. That doesn't necessarily mean that everybody goes around jerking off and having sex with one another, even though that does happen here. My point anyway is this, that Diana is not just an ordinary Amazon. She is one of the sculpted leaders for the Amazons. And that's a big thing. Now, the Amazons have a thing against humanity, especially mankind, the males, because of, what happened to their people who, trusted in man and stuff, and they got, burned for it. But having said that, I wanted to say that Diana represents not just a cultural icon, but she represents an idea, just like Superman. Nobody thinks of Superman going around having sex with men. Nobody thinks of Superman going around having sex with anybody. Most people think of Superman as an ideal, and that's what Diana encapsulates. She encapsulates balancing the scale, justice, and equality, which is kind of an ideal of feminism. And some of the feminists are gay people, so they think of her as a champion for them. They have pulled in Wonder Woman as a sort of icon for them. But Wonder Woman is not a gay icon. And that's, I think, where Rucka has gone beyond himself. And he's saying that this is part of the lore. And I just don't get it. I think he's straining at that one. I disagree with him. I haven't read all the Wonder Woman comic books, but from what I have read, I've never really thought of her as that kind of person. From what I've read, I've seen her interact with a lot of women. And again, I, for instance, grew up in a family with mostly brothers. I would think that she grew up in a family. That doesn't mean I had sex with my brothers. You know what I mean? That's kind of weird, And so, just because you grow up in a community of only women doesn't mean that you're going to have sex with them. Unless you're predisposed or somebody who has that kind of view tries to get you to experiment with them. But other than that, it's really hard to see that happening, especially in the fact that she's not just an ordinary person. She interacts with the gods. She is royal blood. I just don't see it happening. But, that's what some people think. She's bi. I just don't see it. The other thing is, in the comics, she's interacted with a number of men. She's interacted with Batman. She's been the wife of Superman. She's also interacted with Steve Trevor. And she's had interactions and affiliations with various men in the comics. So that's why it kind of bugs me, and it kind of makes no sense. I've never really seen her really outright in the comics kiss a woman or anything like that, even though she's been very friendly with women. But that's, again, something that, to me, if you're in a homosexual community, not meaning... See, it's hard to say the word homosexual without people thinking it's sex I'm talking about. When I say homosexual, I mean one gender, homogender community. And you have a homogender community, you're not thinking about sex. Everybody's like you. You don't really care. You're just doing your thing. You're enjoying life, and you're communicating with everybody. I mean, everybody, I don't know. The world has kind of gotten very confused with relationships. A relationship doesn't mean you have sex. Okay? I can have a platonic relationship. I can have an in-depth relationship with someone and not have sex. I can also have a sexual relationship and a plutonic relationship. No, I can't have plutonic sexual. I can have a casual sexual relationship, and I can have an invested sexual relationship because I'm married to someone or something. But whatever. That's how the world has changed, okay? I just don't believe that Wonder Woman symbolizes that. The gay community has been embracing Wonder Woman, and now a guy comes out and he's saying now she's actually gay herself, and I just disagree with that. And I think a lot of backlash that came out of this is because no one really thinks of Wonder Woman as gay or bisexual, to be honest with you. And while some people think it's plausible that she could be gay, I mean, it's plausible, but it doesn't really seem that way. The comics never wrote it that way, in my opinion. And the fact that the gay community is still not the majority of people in the world. Like, the majority of people in the world are not gay. So, even in that community of the Amazons, if there are 1 or 2 or 3, let's say there are about 200,000 of them, and let's say 5% of them are gay, or 10% of them are gay. I mean, okay, you got 200,000 people, 10% of that, or 5% of that is only 20,000 people, or 10,000 people. That's not a lot of people. See what I'm saying? So, and I know the community was much smaller than that. So the point is, and these are trained warriors. They're not. They're busy training to fight and stuff. They're not. I don't know. Sometimes people think, for instance, of Gladiator, the gladiators. So these guys had sex with one another. No, right? But doesn't mean they don't have gender relationships. That guys can't communicate with guys. That women can't communicate with women. That guys can't communicate with women, etc. You see what I'm saying? So that's how I saw the Wonder Woman movie, and that's how I think of Wonder Woman. It's their ideals that are really cool. Whereas Superman thinks about hope, and he does not. Superman does not look to fight someone. That's not his first option. Wonder Woman is more likely to fight someone and kill him than Superman is. Okay? Batman is in between. Okay? That's just the way how it works. And if you look at Wonder Woman, when she interacts with the Justice League, interacts with the Superman, Batman, interactions in her own comics, I just don't get the impression that she's gay. I get the impression that she can communicate with women quite well and lead, but I don't get the impression, and she's really invested in Themyscira, but I don't get the impression that, I never really got the impression that she was gay. I'm sorry. So I decided to make this video to set the record straight on what I think about Wonder Woman. And I think Greg Rucka is, with my limited knowledge of her, wrong in this case. She's never been, as far as I know, a symbol representing the gay community. The gay community embraced her, but she's never been a symbol of the gay community. That much I do know. So I think Greg Rucka is now changing the whole thing and rewriting the script on Wonder Woman, I think. And I think it's just not the way to go, because she's an ambassador. She encompasses principles. That's the important thing about Diana. That's what makes Diana great. That's why the United Nations are celebrating their 75th year of existence, because she represents equality. Now people will say, well, gay rights and equality and equal marriage and stuff, and I'll be like, well, I don't believe that stuff, that's equal marriage or equal joining. If it's such, then you should have a child, I think, naturally should bear something out of it. So I don't agree with that. I think people get married to start families and to have children. You shouldn't have to go. It's very strange when a woman is barren after she's gotten married to a man. It's not looked at as a great thing. It's actually looked at as a sad thing. So to have now these people of the same gender, and you guys are not going to agree. Some of you guys are not going to agree with me, and you can comment in the comment section below. But I always thought that if you're going to join another person, something should come of it. So if I was to marry someone and then I had sex with them, I should eventually have some kids. You know what I mean? Sex should not bring forth nothing, you know? So that's why I think it's normal for a man and a woman to come together when they're married and have a family. That doesn't happen. It's artificial. It's fake when two people of the same gender come together and there's no family. You have to go and adopt someone and bring it into the system. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Some of you guys are not going to agree with me, but my name is Christ. I am disciple for a reason. And while I'm glad Hillary Clinton is going to win this election, I do not support LGBT rights for marriage. Okay? Some people, they can't help being gay. They were born that way. I'm not mad at them. You know what I mean? And if I could help you in some way, shape, or form, I'll try. I'm not trying there to bash people. I have my own problems. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I don't endorse it. I don't endorse, and California, Southern California was fighting that for a while. They were fighting it. Strange as it sounds, they were fighting this. Okay, and I think it's progressive to support families, to edify families, to push families. But that's like saying that a drug addict, he's just like everyone else. So give him his drugs and make it legal for him to use drugs, because he's just like everyone else. He's going to function with his drugs, and that's the same thing you're basically saying. You're saying that being the way you are is what it is. I'm not going to try and change that. I'm just going to, I want it to be endorsed. Let me make it legal. I disagree with that, you know. And that's just my opinion. You guys may not have that opinion, and so be it. But I disagree with that. I believe that if something is normal and natural, something will come from it. See what I'm saying? You're going to have kids if you have sex, you know, because you can make babies. You know what I'm saying? You can make babies. And I don't think it's normal and natural for a man to go with this woman and then go with that woman and then go with this woman. I don't find that normal, because I think there should be a certain degree of responsibility. If you're going to take on being a daddy and you putting babies all over the place, you can't mind all of them. You know what I'm saying? So you stick with one person and you build a family with that person. Right? That's how I think about it. It has nothing to do with race, doesn't have nothing to do with gender, doesn't have to do with gay rights or non-gay rights or heterosexual rights. It's not about that. It's just what it is. It's normal. An animal comes together with another animal to make another animal. It only happens, you know what I'm saying, if they have the opposite sex. That's just the way it is. Opposites attract. Key go in a hole, you know, key and lock and key, you know what I mean? Ain't no a key and key. Key can't open a key. You know, a lock can't open a lock. You get what I'm saying? I'm just trying to break it down to some people, because, you know, I think some people, they get mixed up with what is progressive and what is not. That's not progress when, and listen, this is the point I'm trying to make that people don't get. There's nothing wrong with being friendly and friends with people who are gay. I have no problem with that. I'm not gay, but that doesn't mean anything. I could have been gay. Doesn't mean that it was right. You know what I'm saying? My point is, you have to be able to look at it from the other person's perspective. And I try to look at it from a gay person's perspective, or queer, or whatever you want to call yourself, right? I'm not being disrespectful now, okay? People struggle with different things. You know, some people, they're born a woman and they're encased in a man's body, and that is messed up like daylight. And you gotta struggle with that, you know what I mean? And some of them, they do, you know, they do gender changes and stuff. I hear you guys. I know how hard it must be, because I personally, as a person, no, I wasn't born. I wasn't born a woman and trapped in a man's body. But I'm saying, or a man trapped in a woman's body, whatever. I wasn't born that, but I know in my own life done already hard as it is. You know, it's a tough life, okay? Everybody has challenges. Everybody has problems, all right? Except for Donald Trump, right? He can't empathize with nobody. And I'm an empathetic person by nature. That's the whole reason why I'm defending the DCEU. You know what I mean? I'm an empathetic person. But at the same time, if you're doing something, okay, if you're a drug addict and you're using drugs, or you're prostituting yourself, whether you are a paid prostitute or not, or online porn is not right. You know, I find myself still involved in that crap, but it's not right. You see, I know that, and I want to get out of it. I want to stop. You know what I mean? You got to be real with yourself. You got to understand some things, the actions that is, and the thought process behind that drives the action is not good. And once you understand that, it doesn't mean you are a bad person. Everybody's flawed in this life. You know what I mean? You probably a cool person. You know? You have no idea, people. You should know there's tons of people online here who do some really atrocious things. But they do it in secret. Right? And, you know, we're quick to point a finger about somebody. You know, I wish we could be all open and honest with each other. And that way we could help one another. You know there's cures for cancer, for instance. A simple thing like baking soda. You use it with maple syrup, or you use it with molasses. And that could pretty much cure almost any cancer. I don't care what stage it's at. I'm trying to tell you guys some things. I'm trying to tell you that if we're more open and honest with one another, if a person comes out and says, I'm gay, that's not a bad thing. Alright? I mean, if you want to... It's not a bad thing. It's being honest, at least, and opening up yourself to the world. We have to start by being honest with one another. It doesn't make you some strange person that I need to shun, or you're the worst person on earth. Hey, everybody got something going on. Let's be real here. Everybody's got some problem in their life. There's nobody on this earth right now who's perfect. There's nobody. So I'm just basically saying that so that people don't think that I'm gay bashing or I hate gays. I don't hate gays. They're cool people. I prefer if I didn't know about your sexual life. But they're just like anybody else. They're normal people. Okay? Everybody got something going on. All right? Whether they think it's a problem or not, it's another story. But the point is, everybody got something going on. Right? So I don't really discriminate between one person and another, but I don't endorse. See, that's the difference. It's like these Republicans endorsing Donald Trump. They know this guy, he's doing things wrong. Does it mean that you have to shun Donald Trump? No. But you don't endorse wrongdoing, man. And you don't defend wrongdoing. See what I'm saying? So that's all I'm saying. But, sometimes you have to weigh the negative with the positive and try and pick the lesser of the two evils. Let's put it that way. So, if I had to vote in the election, I would vote for Hillary Clinton, period. Because I ain't want Donald Trump being no president of no United States. Absolutely not. But there was a guy I would have loved to have backed. I think he would have beaten Hillary Clinton. Maybe. And his name is he's the governor of Ohio, I think he is. John Kasich. Yeah, I like that dude. I really do. Yeah, I wish he was running because he would have given Hillary a run for her money. I mean, Bernie Sanders, he was tough too. He was tough. Bernie was tough, but she beat him. So, I mean, I don't think you can beat Hillary because I think she's like the mastermind behind the whole thing. She being behind Bill Clinton. She was behind Barack Obama. And basically, Bernie's just another Barack Obama, to be honest with you. I think Hillary gonna get it. I wish there would have been more Republicans in the Senate and the House to keep the Democrats in check, because they're gonna go left wing like crazy, man. They're about to go left, and somebody need to keep them in check, because there's two things I don't support. And I'll just break it down for you guys. You're probably wondering, what is this dude doing on a Wonder Woman video? It's like going off on a tangent. But I don't care. It's my video. I can do whatever I want. So there are two things I don't support. One is I don't support LGBT marriage. All right? I'm sorry. I just don't support that. I don't think marriage is really it's a spiritual thing. You know what I mean? And I can't support it as a Christian. I just can't. And then the other thing is abortion. I just can't support abortion. And people say, well, women, they should do what they want with their own bodies. Yeah, but that child ain't from your body. That child ain't from you. It came from a man and you. All right? It's not your body. It's its own body. It's its own person. See? And that's what the Democrats don't get. Abortion, you abort something, it's pretty much you're killing something. And the only time we could do that is kind of like where they do mercy killing. Mercy killing is wrong. You don't pull the plug on someone, you just don't do it. If you know you're capable of keeping them alive, but it's gonna go nowhere, then you just don't do the action to keep them alive. But don't go pulling the plug on somebody. And that's tough for people to hear. And certain decisions sometimes have to be made because we have the technology now to keep people alive. But it's just weird because mercy killing is not cool either. And where people are injecting poison in someone because they want to die because they have so much pain or whatever. And once again, I'm saying I haven't gone through that. I've gone through some tough things with my body and my health. But I've never gone through that. And I know sometimes you wish to die. But that changes with time. Human beings always change their minds all the time. So what I'm trying to say to people is this: that when it comes to someone else's life, I know the state, sometimes you have to put people to death with the electric chair, blah, 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 blah. When it comes to someone else's life, and this all comes down to responsibility, I think a lot of times people are starting to palm off their responsibilities as individuals, their responsibilities as parents to be, or as adults. They want to palm that off to someone else. They want to reinvent what the moral implications of something is. But it doesn't change the nature of things. Like, I could ignore gravity, right? And jump off a building, right? That doesn't mean I won't fall. You know what I mean? And that's the kind of action I'm seeing. And as a scientist, as a person who has been used to seeing the natural laws and implemented, a guy was telling me follow the elements. He's a Wiccan. It's the same thing. The natural laws, they apply anyway, you know? It's just what it is, whether you believe that they exist or not. And it's the same thing with this. With abortion, with LGBT rights. To be honest with you, they shouldn't even call themselves LGBT. They should just be normal human beings, and you know, we find ourselves being attracted to people of our same gender. I think that's cool to say, you know, say it like that, and I have the tendency to want to, you know, be with people of my own gender. And nothing is necessarily wrong with that. I mean, if you're sexually attracted to your own gender, something's wrong somewhere, you know, with the plumbing and stuff, you know, biologically something just kind of went a little bit wrong. But for the most part, your interactions with everybody else is cool. You know what I mean? So I'm just trying to say that, you know, I try to say this the most the most gentle way I can, that just because someone has a glitch or someone has a problem with themselves doesn't mean that you need to patronize them, or doesn't mean that you need to pity them, or doesn't mean that you need to look to them any different than you looked at them before you knew the information. That's what I'm trying to say. You know, there's a saying, don't judge people because you never walked in their shoes. That's the same thing I'm trying to say. So I thought I'd just go through this topic because it seems to be a hot topic these days, and I know the Democrats, when they win, they're gonna go pick somebody to put on the Supreme Court who's gonna be like way left field, and it's gonna really be terrible in that respect because they're gonna pass every single law that's leftist. And I think they have great laws when it comes to the environment. I think they have great laws when it comes to treating everybody as fairly as possible, and that's all well and good, and it's cool. Don't ostracize people. You don't know what they're going through. I agree with all of that. Can't agree with gay marriage. I'm sorry. Can't agree with abortion. Sorry. I know there's certain circumstances where people need to abort. That's different. You know, like, you know, you need to abort the baby because the mother's going to die and the baby going to die. Okay, fine. Abort the baby. You got it. You know, there's certain things where you got to pull the plug on something. All right. Okay, I get it. There's nothing you can do about that. I'm not talking about those circumstances. I'm not talking about somebody who's born gay and they need to do a sex change to balance themselves out, get that hormonal balance going, and then, you know, maybe they need to be somebody else. They need to be, not somebody else, but they need to be the person that they really are. I get it. We have the technology. We have the stuff to do that. Good for you. I'm not mad at you. But I mean to say that other than that, people who want to adopt this lifestyle because they want upward mobility and people put pressure on them to be this way. All of this is going on, man, and it's not cool. You know what I mean? It's very, very wrong. You know, morally it's wrong. And, you know, and so while I'm a very empathetic person and I have understanding to want to speak to people about these things, you know, because I myself struggle with certain things in my life, and even with sexual things in my life, which are a problem as well. And I'm not talking about gay stuff, okay? I'm not gay, okay? Just get that straight. And it's not because I'm trying to label, it's just what I am. I'm not gay, okay? But at the same time, the point is that you want to be able to know what's the right thing and what's the wrong thing. And believe you me, there is something called the right thing and the wrong thing in this life, okay? And unfortunately, we got a lot of hypocrites out here who, like I say, you know my channel's all about the truth, right? You have a lot of hypocrites out here that project themselves onto other people, and they target people and they go to town on them. And, you know, and I don't like that. I don't like bullies, you know what I mean? But it is what it is, and that's just the way life is. But hopefully you guys get what I'm saying. Now, as to Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot very sensibly said that they didn't explore that aspect of Wonder Woman. They didn't explore that she was bisexual or anything like that. Because, to be honest with you, Wonder Woman or Diana, let me say Diana. Diana explores much bigger things than just those smaller things. Like, not that nobody cares about that, but when you're telling a story, for instance, when you're telling a story, you want to tell a story to capture a theme that would elevate mankind. I'm not saying that prejudice and misjudging people is not something that would elevate mankind, but in the context of the Wonder Woman story, you have to be able to capture, which leads me to something else. I know I didn't finish my sentence. You need to be able to capture the intangibles, the qualities, the virtues that make this character what it is and what people want to hold on to. And it's not so much the Wonder Woman part of it that's important, but the Diana part of it. But what I wanted to also say was this, that, you know, a lot of people are thinking that Wonder Woman, for some reason, the movie is going to be one in which it will end happily ever after. That's not so, because if you just watched Batman v Superman, you would hear that Wonder Woman talked about, or Diana talked about, the era of horrors, and a lot of tragic things happened at that time. So when we're looking at the Wonder Woman movie, we're going to see some tragedy there. And that will explain why Wonder Woman sort of disappeared away from mankind, went into sort of hiding, and didn't show her true power, strength, and identity. And I don't know if it's because also she was sort of banished from Themyscira. I don't know. So that's why I'm very interested in this movie, how Patty Jenkins literally directs this movie, couches it, you know, frames it, and sets it up so that we can understand Diana a little bit more, and maybe even tie in how Lex Luthor gets to know about her. So that's what I'm kind of curious about. I don't know what else. I'm pretty sure there are going to be 1,000 Easter eggs in the movie, and it'll be able to explain to us and give us an idea of why Diana was behaving the way she was behaving in Batman v Superman, and will also inform us of how she will behave in Justice League. And all of these things are very important, because I think Diana is a critical piece of the puzzle for Justice League, and also kind of help us understand why she's kind of in the background, kind of in the foreground. Okay? So I'm very interested in this character. I'm looking forward to seeing Wonder Woman. We know she's a tremendous warrior, a tremendous fighter, and so I'm looking forward to seeing more of her in that respect. But I gotta say, folks, I know this is going to be an awesome movie. I know it's going to be awesome. I'm not going to say anything more about it. I think I've said more than my share. You guys have a great one.